Welcome to In a World with Real Media. I'm your host, Brad Burrow. In this podcast, we'll dive into the lives of the most successful people in business. We'll learn how they overcame adversity, took advantage of opportunities, and learned from their experiences. Learn from our experts, get inspired, then go live your story. It's In a World with Real Media. Hello, and welcome to the In a World with Real Media podcast. I'm Brad Burrow, and today we have Jen Greenstreet from Just Like You Films. Really exciting. I'm excited to have you on the podcast. So let me give everybody a little bit of a background here. I'm just going to read this. It's as a purpose-first filmmaker and former prosecuting attorney. I want to talk about that too. That's really awesome. Jen's journey in film is driven by a passion for advocacy and storytelling. Leading Just Like You Films, an Emmy-winning nonprofit, has reached over 8 million kids. Wow, that's big. In 25,000 schools worldwide, addressing critical issues like bullying, mental health, and inclusivity. These films have garnered over 1.2 million views in 320 countries. Amazing. Her directional work in the Just Like You series has achieved significant acclaim, including theatrical distribution, Emmys, and Oscar qualification. Amazing. That was just last night. Or we're dating the podcast by saying that, huh? And she's committed to fostering a more empathetic and compassionate world through film. Love it. Love it. Love it. So,
Thank you.
Jen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Your background, so I was doing some research. You have an amazing background and your career path. So we got to talk about that. But tell me a little bit about how where you grew up and kind of how you were, the influences on your life to take you this direction.
Okay.
Heavy question, right?
Yeah. We're going way back then.
Yeah.
I'm pretty all like...
I know you went to William Jewell, for example.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to William Jewell. And I actually got a theater scholarship to go from my high school to William Jewell. And I loved being in theater there. I was only there for 2 years because I had a year done when I started from high school. And then I overlapped my last year of undergrad with my first year of law school. So I did the full package in 5 years.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Yeah. But I loved William Jewell, and I actually went back to teach criminal law to paralegals in the evenings. I think I did that for 3 or 4 years, and I've done, I've been back to talk to the kids on various occasions on nonprofit side and on media side. So
it's a great school.
Oh, yeah.
My dad went to school there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, back a long time ago. But I know some people, the basketball coach now. And,
okay.
And it seems like a really great school.
It's a great school. My mom graduated from there. My niece played softball at William Jewell.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, did you grow up in that area?
I didn't. I grew up in Independence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, not too far away.
Yeah,
then.
not too far. 30 minutes.
So you had a background in theater, like in high school and stuff like that, but yet you went into law school.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell me about that. Why that decision? That seems like opposite ends of the spectrum a little bit.
Yeah. It does seem like opposite ends of the spectrum, but it's really, I think, not as different as you would think, especially when you get into documentary film and advocacy. And kind of telling stories through subjects. I kind of, being a trial lawyer, you are telling stories through witnesses to a jury and to help them understand the position that the evidence shows your side for a just result. And when you're a documentary filmmaker, you're telling a story through subjects to help the audience understand, a different position or a different world, to help them kind of, take that knowledge with them into their lives. So it feels very familiar to me. The transition wasn't. It was difficult. It was different for sure.
Yeah.
But the advocacy part and the storytelling and even the performing part of it, that all plays a role for me.
When you say performing, like working with actors and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Knowing so I spent a week with the director of the LA Film School.
Oh, nice.
And one of the things that he taught me was that when you're directing real actors that know how to act, it's a completely different process than somebody that doesn't know how to act.
Yeah.
And it's really it's invigorating working with somebody that takes direction, isn't it? And really makes it their own.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like we're driving an automatic car as opposed to a stick shift.
Yeah,
It
it's a
just
good analogy.
happens very smoothly, and I'm just in awe of the actors that can turn on a dime and really go there and commit. It's just fantastic to watch.
And it's fun when you're directing somebody like that, isn't it? It's like a whole different level.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When you can be on the same page. I did have the privilege of directing a short narrative piece to go along with our food allergy documentary.
What was that called?
It's called It May Contain My Life, and it's a docudrama. And so it's a documentary, and then we have a narrative thread that runs through it. And so we shot the short film in Los Angeles with one of our subjects, August Maturo, who is a Disney actor who grew up on the show Girl Meets World.
Yeah.
And he recruited his bestie, Ava Kolker, who was his co-star on Girl Meets World, to be part of our movie as well.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so we were able to cast some super talented actors that what we're talking about, being able to turn on a dime, and just watching them work was wonderful, and being able to direct them.
So were you on a high for a few days after those shoots?
Oh, yeah, except that our budget was so tiny that we crammed so many setups and shoot, in so many locations, and it was whirlwindy for sure. But we got a lot in, and we had a beautiful product out of it. And we actually shot that one in 360 as well.
Did you?
Yeah. So for each setup, we would strike the flat camera and then bring in the 360 and have the actors run it like they were almost doing, live theater around the 360 camera. And so for every setup, we did that. And we were able to get 2 films then. We had the short narrative film, the VR movie, and then the docudrama.
Wow.
So it's
amazing.
the May Contain series.
So how did that change your directing? That's a different approach completely.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing where to put the camera. Did you talk about, okay, this is in the middle of the scene, let's do this, and then the actors have to work around that?
Yeah. So I mentioned that I took that class in UCLA, that XR class, and so I was fortunate to connect with an incredibly talented VR filmmaker, and he consulted with me on the project. He said, what if we, he'd seen this done on another project, we split it at a 180 mark, and you have the actors act to camera as if they're the other person. So if you and I were in the scene, right, you would leave, and in your place we'd put the 360 camera, and then I would act to the camera as if it's you. So It's called May Contain Two Sides. So when you get into the headset, we divide the 180. If you look to your right, you stand in the shoes of the child that lives with food allergies. If you look to your left, you stand in the shoes of the child hosting the birthday party who's trying to accommodate the food allergies. So you feel as if they're looking at you. They're speaking to you when you're in the headset. And there's a bullying incident too. So you're kind of the victim of the bullying incident as well. So it's really powerful. And we're taking it, we've already gone into 3 different film festivals. One in Paris, France.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, and it's called New Images Film Festival, which I think is one of the premier XR film festivals in the world. We're one of 30 movies.
Wow.
That were chosen to go over there. And then we have another one, Poppy Jasper Film Festival, coming up in April, and that's in Silicon Valley, kind of Morgan Hill, Monterey.
Very cool.
Yeah. So there's some fun stuff happening.
So are you picking the shots that you watch when you're watching the film? In Truth 360, you can look wherever you want to look.
Oh, yeah.
So is that how does that work?
Well, I set it up to so I want it to look in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And so I know what shot I want, so that's the shot. I'm not picking it as it's happening. Okay. I guess I could, but there's not a lot of background action. It's just all happening right here.
Right.
But you are immersed, so you can look up and see the blue sky, down at the ground, see the ground. You're standing next to a pool.
So you're having to watch it on headsets.
Then, you have to. Yeah. I mean, we could do planetarium.
Like
And
the Vegas, the Sphere.
yes, exactly. But even that would be limiting because the idea is that you really are walking in the shoes of this person.
Yeah.
Like I am dropped into that scene with them.
So how do you direct that? Because it's not like, I mean, you're watching the actual, performance,
Right?
But you're not actually seeing what's being recorded.
Right.
That's
well,
a little challenging.
I did get to see what was recorded, and
That live.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I could not be on the set, right? Like, 'cause you can't see me.
Right.
I'm not actually watching it live. I'm only watching it recorded.
Did you have headsets on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I had the audio too.
What an experience.
It was fantastic. And then on the camera we drew a face, so we made little eyebrows to help the actor understand that the camera itself was your scene partner.
Yeah.
So that
cutting edge. That's really cool.
Oh my gosh, it was fantastic. And the great part about doing it the way we did it, because believe me, we were all around the shop. How is this going to happen? And my production manager's like, my assistant director's like, no way, we're not going to be able to get this done. I'm like, we can do it, But one of the big challenges is, I forgot where I was going with that.
Just see how you set
know.
up a scene in 360.
Yeah. Okay. So it's basically they get all these rehearsals doing the flat. So we've shot the flat. So we get the scene in flat and they're all warmed up. They're there in the scene. So, okay, now just run this scene without any cuts. Just run it like, you're on a stage.
Yeah.
So I think it made it easier for the actors.
So you do one whole scene in one take, basically, right? Right. I mean, you can't cut, really.
Can't cut. You can. This is very jarring. We won't
cut.
use it.
Yeah.
Because it'd be really jarring.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. So you were able to get those scenes recorded, then captured in one take. How many takes did it take to do some of those?
We had a tiny sliver of time.
Yeah. So you had to
capture it.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 takes is all we had time for.
Yeah.
So we just did the best we could.
And so that's what's gotten into some of these film festivals.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's, really
awesome.
Cool. It's
in fact,
idea.
I'd love for you to see it. I would love to bring the headset here, or you could come to our studio.
I would love to see it.
And see it, especially because you're going to be working in the 360 world. And
so not to go. This is not about us.
Yeah.
But we pitched a show to Discovery on Demolition Derby.
Okay.
And so I put 360 cameras in the cars.
Oh, nice.
So the really cool thing about that was that, as cars would get hit and different things like that, we could pick the shot that we wanted.
Oh, yeah.
At all times, it was all being covered. So we weren't really doing what you're doing, where you're actually in an immersive world watching it.
Right.
That would have been cool.
Right.
Then you're looking and it's like you're driving the car.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But for us, it was a way to capture everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then we picked the 4K screen that we wanted. So it might be this way, it might be this way. Mm-hmm. We had it kind of behind the driver, so they back up a lot and run into people.
So okay.
Their heads would turn and look into the camera.
Oh, that's
really
fun.
Cool stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's amazing what you capture in a situation like that. That you wouldn't capture. Just a GoPro, for example, you're not going to get. You might get a shot, but you don't miss shots when you have a 360 camera. So pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea of being able to put on goggles, whatever they're called, but and turning your head and seeing what's happening, that's cool.
You're in there.
That could be the future of filmmaking.
I'm telling you. And I went to Sundance virtually during 2020, during the pandemic, and they recommended that you get an Oculus headset.
Yeah.
And they had all their meet and greets in VR. And you had an avatar that would meet with another avatar. It was mind blowing. I'm sitting in my kitchen in my pajamas, and my husband is just cracking up. I'm like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, I'm talking to filmmakers at Sundance Film Festival. And then they had a whole lineup of short VR movies. And I'm like, okay, I have to watch this. And The one that really impacted me, that made me go down this path, was called 4 Feet High. And so you put on your headset and you're dropped to the level of 4 feet off the ground, like right where we are now. And you travel through all the scenes with a teenager that's in a wheelchair.
Oh, wow.
And
amazing.
so, you know, she's comes up to a group of her peers. They're all standing, talking. You're on 4 feet. Yeah. So you're looking up and you see them conversing over you. They're not paying attention to you. It just lands so differently when you are in that environment. Like you really, I was in like sobbing in tears.
Wow.
It was mind blowing. I'm like, this is it. I've been working for however many years at that time, like 15 years, trying to create empathy through media. I'm like, this is it. If we can get people in headsets to literally walk in their shoes of people that are living, this is it. So that's when I became determined to create the VR movie. And believe me, I had to convince a lot of people.
Do you think you'll go back to normal video?
Oh, yeah. In fact, we're in pre-production right now for a documentary on grief.
Yeah.
And the producers are incredible people, but they don't have any interest in the VR filmmaking, and that's fine. You know, It's just every project is different, and I have to flow with whatever is happening with that unique circumstance.
So that might just be a niche type thing that works in certain situations really well, like that.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it working in every situation. I'm so excited to go to these festivals and find out what these filmmakers are discovering and inventing, and watching all the movies and being with them and that creative energy.
Yeah.
And see where it's headed.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I think about, I've seen some really cool videos like that for like the Blue Angels, for example, where you're in the pilot seat and now you can look out and see kind of what they're looking at when they're flying and stuff. That kind of stuff always seemed really cool to me. I hadn't really thought of it in terms of, like a feature-length narrative type film.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be an interesting undertaking. I'm surprised it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah. I think feature would be a long time to be in a headset. It's interesting, even with our little film, it's 20 minutes. You come out kind of tired. Like you've been through something. You've been through it.
Yeah.
You've been to that birthday party. Like you've dealt with the bully in your face yelling at you, you know? And it's a full sensorial, emotional experience.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, so would people be able to do that? I mean, see that film? I mean, you're going to have to, how's that going to happen? So
my goal is through these film festivals or through however we get it done, is to connect with someone at Meta or Apple, and get native on the Meta headset, and like Amazon. Yeah. Amazon would be ideal. They have a 360 studio. Somebody that would put their full force of their marketing and PR behind it.
Yeah.
And make sure people know about it. So you get the headset, it's native on there, it's advertised, banners and everything. That's the dream. And even beyond that, my dream is to, in schools, have had a cart of headsets wheeled into a classroom. Today, kids, we're going to learn about food allergies.
Yeah.
And I mean, those kids would be so excited.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid being so bored in the classroom. If somebody wheeled in that kind of technology, and the point of it is to learn how to be a good friend to someone that lives with food allergies and make it cool, and exciting. I mean, I think that has the potential to really help people understand what it's like and change lives, maybe even save lives.
Yeah, that's really cool. The kids will love it.
Oh, yeah.
They would be all over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody's listening from Meta, Apple, Facebook,
send it to them.
Anybody.
Prime, Amazon Prime, all those places. Yeah. Well, this is awesome. I wanted to kind of go back. So you were an assistant prosecuting attorney, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the step from there to becoming a filmmaker, was there something that prompted that? Did you see something? What made you? It just seems kind of unlikely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably get asked that all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I ask myself that all the time.
Yeah.
So I tell this story because I'm a storyteller, and I feel like it really illustrates that pivot point for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I interned there. I worked all through law school at the prosecuting attorney's office. Any chance I got, I would go down in the courtroom and watch the lawyers do their thing. I was just enthralled with their...
Is that Jackson County?
Jackson County.
Okay.
Yeah. That, using their storytelling skills to stand up for truth and justice, I may have had a naive lens on at that time, but I was just so proud of them and just excited to possibly be able to use my skill set to help people, to help my community be safer, to have that kind of purpose-driven storytelling.
Yeah.
So I did it for 10 years, and I loved it. But I had small children. This is the story. We're traveling through Kansas City in our minivan. My husband and I, he's a lawyer too. My kids are in the back seat in their car seats, kicking their feet around. We go past Blue Parkway. There was a housing addition, and I had a double homicide right there. And so I was prepping for that trial. I started talking about the evidence. I'm bouncing some ideas off my husband. When they came in, they found the first body on the floor. I'm kind of describing the facts of the case. And I think there was an issue with the trajectory of the bullets, like marrying up with the witness accounts, that kind of thing. And my husband's like, okay, Jen, Whitney is listening to every word you're saying.
Yeah.
Whitney, my 5-year-old daughter, is leaning in. Whitney, cut to, 30 years later, is now a practicing lawyer.
Oh, is that right?
But
it was inevitable, probably, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's probably not the right conversation for a 5-year-old. And so we go further down the road, and there's a fast stop right before you get off on 435 to go to the stadiums. There's like a fast stop, quick trip type. I'm like, okay, there's a serial armed robber. That's one of the places where the serial armed robber went. And I start talking about that and how we're trying to tie the cases together. And he's like, okay, yeah, Jen, here we are again. He's like, I love you, but I want to make an observation that I feel like you're seeing our city through the filter of all your crime scenes. Is that how you want to see your city? And, that was just a moment for me. No, I don't want to see my city through crime scenes. And how do I want to see my city? And how do I want to utilize the skills that I've been given? So I decided to take a step back, and I threw myself into being a mom and going to PTA, which is a wonderful thing. But I felt like I could do more. I needed a little bit more. And I was playing with this idea of saying yes to everything and just kind of asking the universe to use me. I'd seen an Oprah show where Oprah Winfrey, she said every night before she went to bed, she said a prayer, God, please use me. I'm like, I'm going to try that. I love Oprah. And so I was trying it. And so what kind of came in my path was this opportunity to help with Children's Mercy Hospital, has a burn unit. And one of Whitney's best friends was severely burned on her leg. There was a mom that I was friends with that wanted to do a fundraiser to buy pajama bottoms. And she asked me to be a part of it or help run it. And, I had no experience in nonprofit. But I was saying yes. So I said yes, went down there. The child life specialist there, Nikki Stang Johnson, is an incredible woman. We have a trophy named after her now that we give out. She said, you guys, we don't need pajama bottoms. Thank you. But we have plenty of pajama bottoms. What we really need is to tell our kids stories. And I want to tell our kids stories to their peers before they go back into the classroom to kind of pave the way. And I do that when I can, but I can't always do that. Will you make me a short video that's basically my presentation that I give to these classrooms? Caroline's coming back into the classroom. She's going to look different. She has a severe burn scar, but she's still the same kid as she always was. So please invite her to sit with you at lunch. Play with her out on the playground. Here's the few things that she'll be doing differently. She'll be wearing pressure garments for a while. She'll have to leave school to do physical therapy. And here's all the things, but she's still Caroline. And the main message that the kids want communicated on their behalf is that they're still a kid just like you. And so we did that first film. Actually, I went to Isaac, our mutual friend, Isaac Alongi. Mm-hmm. And I said, Isaac, I have to raise money, and we're going to do a flyer. But it's really important to me that we portray Caroline as the heroine that she is, not as somebody to be pitied, because she is a leader in her class, and she's a wonderful kid. That's the message I want to send to my friends when I'm asking for money for this. He said, we'll just do a photo shoot, and we'll have the girls hang out, and Caroline will show her scar So we did that. We raised $10,000 in a week. In the process of shooting that, Isaac's like, I want to get into motion. This is almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I said, great. And he's like, I'll shoot the movie. Why don't you write the script and direct it? We'll do it together. And I'll do it for, very inexpensively because this is my first foray into emotion.
Yeah.
I'm like, fantastic. I was saying yes. I was very hesitant. And he's like, I got you. I'll help you learn, filmmaking. And I'm like, there's something called a storyboard. Should I do storyboards? And he's like, yes, do storyboards. I'm like, all I can do are stick figures. And he's like, I don't care. Just draw stick figures. And I still have those storyboards.
That's all. You should put those up on the wall.
I should.
Yeah.
So I'm so forever grateful to Isaac for encouraging me and coaching me for many, many years. He's just a wonderful talent. So.
He has got the best eye.
Oh, he does.
The films I've worked with him on film sets and stuff like that quite a bit, and he helped us actually put together our red packages because I knew he would know. And it's like, hey man, would you help me? He said, sure.
He's so generous.
Yeah. He's got an amazing eye. Everything that he shoots, you're just like, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a gift.
It is, truly.
So you got connected with the right person.
I did. I felt it. Yeah, it was good. And it still is. I'll call him every once in a while. And he's off to the big time making his own features now,
Yeah, he is. They're doing some pretty cool things.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is a lot of people don't realize the power of film. Mm-hmm. If you do it right, it really can change the way people think. Mm-hmm. And can, on such a sensory level can, help you remember things. It can change the way you think about things. It can hit you emotionally. When did you realize that, film is the way? I mean, probably that first project, right? I mean, but when was it for you? It was like, this is something that I can really do to impact people.
I think I realized the power of film when I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
We were at a drive-in and they were playing Star Wars. And my dad said, we were in all our pajamas and we had, beds in the back of the station wagon. And we'd watch some kid film and he's like, you can go to bed now because this is a grown-up film. You won't understand it. And then the minute he said that, I'm like, I'm going to like pry my eyes open. I'm going to do everything I can to understand this. And I was absolutely transported into another time, place, world, and I fell in love with movies in that moment. And I just it's been a love affair that's been going on my entire life. And my mom too, Disney films, and she was such a Disney fan. So she got these records. And it wasn't film, but it was the stories, and we would like listen to the records together. And but I think the power of advocacy in filmmaking, I feel like I've always kind of felt that, but definitely with that first film, the feedback that we got.
Yeah, tell me about that. How was that received?
Well, they still use it at Children's
Do they
Mercy.
Really? Wow.
They still use it.
Wow.
That's a testament to the need and the gap that there is. For this type of film. And I just had a meeting today with a parent who also helps families with disabled children plan for the future economically and and she kind of every day I feel like there's something saying, yeah, you're going the right way, keep going. And she said, I don't know of anything else out there like your movies. And I'm so thrilled to help my clients understand that there is hope. A lot of people get diagnosis when they're infants, so they don't know what life's going to look like, and it's very scary. And
parents especially.
Yeah. So she's like, I can't wait to show them their movies and show them, that it's not only going to be okay, it's going to be great.
I saw that, kind of jumping forward a little bit, I saw you had one of the movies is about cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have a really good family friend, but Joe has cerebral palsy, and so we go to church together, and all this stuff. But he came up to us at church about 4 weeks ago and said, "Hey, my parents are." He's like 30 years old. My parents are going to be gone. Would you guys mind staying with me for the weekend? And I was like, sure. And we've taken him. to basketball games and gotten to know him really well. And he's so smart.
Mm-hmm.
He just has a hard time, articulating and talking and all those things. But he is a super sharp guy. We had the best time hanging out with him.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it was hard. I mean, I had to pick him up and
Mm-hmm.
help him go to the bathroom and all the stuff that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But once, all that stuff aside, it's like just spending time with him. And he was so grateful that we were there. And it was so awesome.
Yeah.
That's the first time we've ever done anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, why haven't we done this before?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
really cool. I haven't seen the film, but I'm assuming that your film probably covers some things like that.
Oh, yeah. And I'll share a link with you. We're on the festival circuit right now with that movie. And so we're shopping it around. But I would be happy to share a link. And that movie is based on a true story, Terry. And she was born with cerebral palsy, but her cerebral palsy, it's a spectrum. I learned that through this movie. So it can impact, it's something that happens in the brain, and it either impacts your motor skills. And I am not an expert on any of these subject matters, just like my lawyer had on, full disclosure,
Yeah.
disclaimer.
Yeah. We'll put that on screen. Right?
Yeah, thank you. But so in the spectrum, it can either impact your motor skills, or it can cause developmental delay. So Terry, how it impacted her is she had full use of her motor skills and her body and in what we would think of as a typical way. But she was developmentally delayed. So she saw the world like a 5-year-old child in real life. So our movie, and we look through Terry's POV, and we see the world kind of like Terry would see it.
Yeah.
And but we do have kids that are impacted through their motor skills in the movie with cerebral palsy that Terry interacts with. So you see both ends, and we kind of explain that throughout the film, that there is a spectrum and that it impacts everyone differently.
Well, he was totally motor skills. I mean,
Yeah.
So like, he's gone to college, he's taught classes. I mean, really amazing things. He just can't walk, or I mean, he has a hard time grabbing things.
Yeah.
But just an amazing, I don't know. We felt exhausted after that weekend, but we also felt very thankful that we got to spend time with him.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting weekend.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one thing that not very many people realize. We think of disability like the dis and disability. It's negative. It's a negative connotation, or they're less than somehow, and it's maybe a burden on typical people when they have to encounter or accommodate someone who is disabled. But actually, it's the benefit of being friends with or living life with someone who has a unique circumstance. That's what we like to call it, unique circumstance. Take that negative connotation out of there.
Right.
Flows both ways, right? Like, I did a little thing for a local nonprofit called My Favorite Teacher. And really, when you're in a class with someone that has a unique circumstance, you're learning from them as well. And you're growing, and you're having that opportunity to, build up that part of you, that empathy part, that sympathy part. And it gives you a different perspective on the world. Oftentimes in our movies, the friends always speak. The friends of the kids that live with a unique circumstance speak about how, things can seem real small and they get real focused on themselves. But if they can be friends with someone that has a unique, it gives them a bigger worldview of their life, their role in the world. And it's really wonderful for everyone involved. It's not easy. Sometimes you really have to go outside of your comfort zone, like taking your friend to the bathroom, things like that. But the reward is really exponential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I felt like we went through a weekend of learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was pretty. It was a great experience. We were going to do it more.
Yeah. Well, and what we try to do with our films is we try to have the audience have a small taste of that experience through the film.
Yeah.
So then everyone who sees our movie, if you watch our movie on Down syndrome, for example, and then you're in the grocery store, walking through the grocery store, and you see someone with Down syndrome, it's not so shocking. Or it's like, oh, yeah, I spent time with someone with Down syndrome already through Just Like You Down syndrome.
Yeah. And Grief, I wrote down Grief. So that's one that's in production right now.
We're in pre-production on that.
Oh, pre-production. Anything you can tell us about that?
It's still in the works. Yeah.
Well, it's a big need.
It is.
With COVID and all the things that are happening in our world right now. Do you know Mindy Corporon?
I don't think so.
Her dad and her son were murdered at the Jewish Community Center.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's somebody you need to have be a part of your documentary, probably.
Yes.
Or, anyway, I can make an introduction, but
thank you.
She has, what she's turned a tragedy in her life into is amazing. I mean, she's helping so many people now deal with things like that, and,
wow.
it's unbelievable. It's hard to imagine that she could help, go through what she went through and then help somebody else.
Yeah.
That's humbling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I tell me a little bit about Just Like You Films. And I know you have some partners.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about them a little bit, but tell us about what your organization is, kind of your mission, what you're trying to accomplish. I know we've talked about it a lot already, but...
Oh, no. Yeah. So we're a women-led, award-winning, nonprofit film production company, and we are working to end bullying and spread kindness and empathy through the power of storytelling. And that's our mission statement. And so every decision we make comes back to that. That's our guiding principle. And we are a team of 3 women, primarily, but we also have a board of directors that is very active and wonderful people that help us, stay on track and keep us going financially through funding.
Good to have a board like that, huh?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And we have a library of, I think we're up to 15 movies. I think about time in relationship to that Burn film. My daughter was 10 years old when we shot that movie, and now she's 29. So I've been working on Just Like You Films for 19 years. I think we were incorporated as a nonprofit in 2006.
Okay.
So, because after that Burn film, I thought I was done, That was a fun project.
Yeah,
now what am I going to do? And
what happened?
Well, the cancer unit got wind
at Children's Mercy
Hospital of the movie, and they came to us and they said, we really need one of these too. Like, I can't imagine there'd be any issues with kids living with cancer in the classroom being bullied. And they're like, yeah, you'd be so surprised.
Really?
Because they lose their hair, they get nauseous sometimes in class, and they just needed that movie to kind of explain what they were going through. So I said, well, okay, let's see what happens. You see if you can raise the money. And they raised the money very quickly. And so we did that movie. And then we went back and did one for caregivers of burn survivors. And it just came to a point where my husband's like, is this what you're going to be doing now?
Yes.
I think so. I mean, it just people just keep coming. It's just so needed.
Yeah.
It's just so needed. Back to the power of storytelling. I think there's some studies that there's no better way to help change minds. You suspend reality. Like when you're watching content, you're willing to believe anything in those moments. Like when you click on the screen or you go into the movie theater, you'll believe in vampires or wizards and so you're opening up your consciousness, your subconsciousness even, to new ideas.
Yeah. And
so it's really, if we can seize that moment to help people, understand others, we can really change behavior that way.
One of the things, and Isaac's great at this, but the way you shoot can be emotional.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the depth of field, the movement, the lighting, all those things. Are you consciously sitting down? It's like, I need this feel on this interview. And are you looking as the DP's lighting and all those things? Are you looking at the monitor and saying, no, I want more emotion here, or I want more of this? Are you doing that as a director?
Oh yeah. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
One decision I made with the very first movie and kept going with it was I wanted the interviewee to look into camera because I wanted to break that fourth wall. I wanted the viewer to feel that they were part of the conversation. And because I think sometimes, reality television, the viewer feels like, oh, I'm a fly on the wall. I'm not really held accountable. Like, so I can be the fly on the wall and comment or think things, and really nobody sees me because I'm not really here, right? And I'm thinking about these movies being played in classrooms. If you put on like a movie and that person's looking down the barrel of the camera right at you, I think it calls people to really engage.
Yeah.
And so it was challenging, especially with non-actors, to emote to like a glass, and get them to keep their eye line right there in camera. And especially if I'm standing over here,
Yeah.
They want to talk to me. But Isaac, again, introduced me to a piece of equipment that I direct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you were using that. Yeah.
Yes, we started using that at the end of anxiety and depression, and it changes the game completely. I mean,
Because it's just like we're having a conversation
Yeah.
here now. You have eye line with the person you're talking to.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's critical for me. And, I also, it's important with Just Like You Films that we deliver an empowering message.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm never unnecessarily dramatic or playing up the dark sides of these conditions. There's a lot of darkness. There's dark and light to everything.
Yeah.
But I'm not going into the treatment room with the burn child as their burn is scraped and they're screaming and crying. And,
my gosh.
we all know that there are hard parts of life. But you don't have to show that to a classroom
Yeah.
full. If my objective, this is where my lawyer hat comes on, my advocacy. My objective is to have this child be accepted and embraced by their peers, then I want to give them as much as they need to know to be a good friend.
Yeah.
So like the lighting and it's evolved over time. Like
Yeah.
anxiety and depression, we played around a little bit with the darkness. May Contain as well. We told the story of Elijah, which is very tragic, and I don't. You probably haven't had a chance to see it yet. Elijah is a 5-year-old boy that. Sorry, he was 3. He was 3 at the time, in daycare, and Dina, his mom, had educated the providers in depth about his condition, but for whatever reason, they gave him a grilled cheese sandwich. And they diagnosed his reaction to it as asthma. They told his mom, Dina, that he was having an asthma attack. And by the time she arrived at the daycare, it was too late. He passed away from anaphylaxis from the grilled cheese sandwich. So talk about turning tragedy into something positive that will help and save lives. Dina and Thomas, Elijah's parents, started a foundation and wrote a law called Elijah's Law that they successfully passed in New York State. And since then, I think it's like 5 other states that require daycare providers to know about and understand the signs and symptoms of anaphylaxis and also have epinephrine on site to administer it if there is an emergency. And as part of our documentary May Contain, we asked them to come to Kansas City and see what they could do to get that law passed here in Kansas City and in Missouri and Kansas. So that's part of the story arc for our docudrama, is what happens with that.
So is that still in production right now?
That's finished, and
Okay.
it's on the festival circuit.
Okay.
Yeah. It won an Impact Doc Award recently.
So did you follow them around while they were here? I mean,
Well,
did you-
yeah, we followed them to City Hall, and we had a city councilwoman, Andrea Boo. Her daughter lives with food allergies.
I know the Boos very well.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
They're my favorite.
Yeah. Judge Boo.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. Well, I'm a lawyer, so
Yeah.
we all run around in
So
each other's circles.
Their kid, their son was one of my son's best friend in high school at
way.
Kansas City Christian School. But
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a small world.
Grant, his name is Grant.
Yes, Grant. We know Grant. Yeah.
So they're at K-State together. Well, not together, but they're both up at K-State right now. But we know the Boos very well. And she's, we were at basketball and baseball, all that stuff together.
Yeah. So we'll have to send a picture to Steve.
Yeah.
Andrea championed the bill to the city hall.
Yeah.
And so we documented that whole process.
Okay.
With Andrea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. What a small world. That's
I
funny.
know.
That's funny.
I know. And actually, Whitney, who I told you is practicing lawyer now, she clerked for Judge Boo.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had some talks with him. It's like his job. It's like, I don't think I want his job. That's kind of amazing, the stuff that he deals with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You
Thank
probably are
God.
pretty, yeah.
Thank God he's doing it. Thank God good people are out there doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to wrap up pretty quick here.
Yes.
The last thing I wanted to ask you about was Rise and Shine.
Okay.
Tell me about that.
So that came to us through a board member's brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So Carrie McCliney sat on our board of directors for years. And she one day said, I want you to meet my brother, Randy Wooten. He's in filmmaking in Los Angeles. So that was probably a decade ago. I was out in Los Angeles and we met and kind of continued speaking. He came to a couple of events. He supported Just Like You Films. But he was always, working in the narrative space. But he reached out to me one day and said, hey, I have a project on deck that I think Just Like You Films would be a perfect fit for. It's a narrative feature film about a teenager that lives with cerebral palsy. And so I read the script. I cried.
Yeah.
Of course. Fell in love with it. Met with the other production companies involved, Randy's company, which is Low Road Media, and Voyage Media. And Voyage was the one that, kind of developed the movie, found the story. They actually are a podcast company.
Okay.
And they do podcasts with real people. And then when they find stories that they feel like would translate nicely into feature films, they go ahead and develop the movies.
That's a great way to come up with stories, isn't
Right?
it? Yeah.
Yeah, they've really got a good formula there. And so Robert Midas and Nat Mendel is the founder. Nat Mendel is the founder of Voyage Media, and Robert Midas is a film producer that worked for Michael Douglas. He ran Michael Douglas's personal production company for a while. Kind of grew up through that company.
Yeah.
Just wonderful people, and I was absolutely thrilled to kind of walk down that road with them. They were looking, I think, to Just Like You Films for us to provide the experience that we had with Unique Circumstances, bring that credibility and authenticity.
Yeah.
Like we were instrumental in bringing an expert on set to kind of make sure that all of our folks with unique circumstances were cared for and felt comfortable on our set. And they were there every single day, all day, so dedicated. And then also we provide the nonprofit fundraising mechanism for them as well. So
that was a good fit for them too.
Yeah.
We didn't even get into that side of what you do. That's a big part of it, right? How much of your time do you think you spend just on fundraising?
I would say it became less when Betsy came on board. Betsy is our executive director, and she runs the nonprofit side. But it's always, I would say, at least 50%.
Yeah.
And then when we have a yearly fundraiser called The Power of Film, which is happening in June this year. If anybody's listening and wants to be a part of our event, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And it's for a great cause. But when that fundraiser comes around, then I really have to spend some serious time. And my poor friends that have been with me for almost 19 years, donating every year, they see me coming a mile away.
That's got to feel good that they're being a part of something that's helping people, though.
Yeah, I think so. And it lives forever. Like if you donated to the burn film, you're still on that scroll that's played, at Children's Mercy Hospital and all over the world. So,
yeah. Give a quick shout out to the rest of your team. We were going to do that, and we this has been great. It's like we just keep going. That's awesome.
I know. I could talk all day.
But tell us about the rest of your team.
Yeah. So Betsy Lindsay came from a nonprofit background, and she worked for University of Kansas and then Kauffman. And she, one of my friends introduced me to her, and she was, I think, going to kind of go on her own and wanted to find more contract work. And so we just hit it off, and she fell in love with what we're doing. And so she handles all of the nonprofit side. I kind of sent it to the universe, like if I could duplicate myself, I just need another one of me that will only think about nonprofit, know. And I think Betsy, just really has filled that role and done it beautifully. Mandy Kearns came to me with food allergies.
Is that right?
So she's every movie has a mom executive producer who believes passionately in spreading the knowledge and understanding around that unique circumstance. Every single movie, I could name them off for you. Mandy's the one for food allergies. But she just had such an acumen for production and for fundraising and everything that we did, and that passion for it and just a desire to be a bigger part of it, that I've just had so much fun, kind of like Isaac did for me, helping Mandy learn the business and understand production. And she's come on as a producer now with Just Like You Films and a director of impact because her background's in education.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're a wonderful team. And
yeah. Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. This is awesome. Where would somebody find? So why don't you give them the website? I know we have it up here, but tell them the URL to support the projects moving forward.
Yes. You can find us at justlikeyouFilms.org. It's justlikeyouFilms.org. And then we have a YouTube channel and Instagram and Facebook and all of the things, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
very awesome.
Yeah.
All right. The last thing that we have to do is the movie voice. And you have to be like one of the best at this, since you're in the business. All right.
I don't know about that. People tell me that I sound like Kermit the Frog. So can I do my Kermit the Frog voice?
Sure. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. Well, so this all started because I used to run around with the guy that ran the Miami Heat.
Oh, nice.
Television network.
Oh, wow.
And so I'd always do this in a whirl.
Yeah.
So one day he says to me, hey, I want you to be the voice of the Miami Heat. And I'm like,
no way.
What?
That's awesome.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And then he sent me a script and I did it. And next thing you know, for 4 years, I was doing the voices.
Oh, my God.
So, but it's all a trick, it's like in a world, kind of thing. So
I can do that.
Yeah.
I do in a world.
So you just have to say in a world with real media.
Okay.
And
what
you
is
might
it?
want to send this to your agent.
Okay, I love it.
In a world with real media.
Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
In a world with real media.
Awesome. Great.
I can beatbox. I'm much better at that.
Oh, yeah?
Not just a little
That'll
bit.
be the next podcast.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for joining us.
Thank you.
This has been so fun. And I love what you guys are doing and love it's helping people. That's really amazing.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to spread the word.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, everybody. This is the In a World with Real Media podcast. Share this. Send it to your friends. There's a lot of really cool content that's coming out, and we look forward to seeing you next time. This has been In a World with Real Media. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to subscribe on iTunes and follow Real Media on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn so you never miss an episode.